Welcome to the 5-Year You podcast, a show dedicated to helping you become the best version of yourself one day at a time. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kat, and we promise to keep it raw, real, and relatable.
Are you ready to grow?
Hey, Five Tribe. This episode is called Why You Feel Behind in Life. And it is something I think we all feel. So if you've been feeling like everyone else is further ahead or you're not where you want to be, this episode is for you. We're going to help you get some clarity and just get you grounded back in yourself and feeling better about the way things are going. I'm Andrew, and with me always is Kat. How are you doing today, Kat?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. When we looked at this topic, I was like, wow, should we do this? And I think everybody feels this at some point, and it's just such a challenge.
They do. And we might have done similar episodes on it. I know we have a really good episode called The Rules Are Fake. And it's important to revisit it from time to time because a lot of people suffer with these thoughts inside of their head. And it's good to kind of bring it to the surface and say, look, everybody feels like they're behind. Everybody feels like they should be at a certain point or a certain place professionally, financially, in their relationships. And it's just not true.
No, exactly. I mean, we all look at our lives and that's just growth, right? It's always looking down the highway and going, look, I want to be a little further. I'm going here and I want to be there now. So part of it is always just kind of finding that balance of understanding that where you are and where you want to be are both valid. But if you always keep thinking I should be further ahead, you're just going to feel miserable your whole life.
Yeah, I mean, we all consciously know that comparison is the thief of joy. These are not new things to us, but it doesn't stop us from seeing the neighbor having the new car or seeing our friends, go on a family trip and thinking like, why can't I do that, afford that? Why don't I have, friends like that? Why, whatever it is, we tend to measure our value against how are we doing in comparison to other people. And one of the things that we teach in coaching is how to measure your value by how you feel on the inside and whether or not you're doing what is actually authentic to you.
Yeah, exactly. It's the barometer of success is an internal one, not an external one. When you compare yourself to the Joneses, well, they're just trying to keep up with the next person too. Like they're keeping up with their Joneses. And as you do this, you will find yourself on the hamster wheel of success, never actually getting where you want to get to because you've never actually taken the time to think, wait, do I actually want this? Is the timeline I'm giving myself actually a realistic timeline that I want to stick to? Or is it just this imposed thing that I came up with because it was a round number? And I like, yes, 1 year I should be rich, famous, and successful. And if that doesn't happen, then I'm a failure. It's so hard. It really is because you're fighting your brain and you're fighting a culture that has taught you to look at everybody else. And if you're not as good as everybody else, then you're not good. But the opposite is the truth.
Yeah. I mean, so that is where primarily this feeling of not being good enough comes from. It comes from the comparison culture, and it comes from the invisible timelines that we put on ourselves. But I think it's fair to say that we put these timelines on ourselves because they've been taught to us by our parents, by society, by movies, by medicine, right? I think about women feeling like they're on a certain timeline to have children and the pressures that brings up for so many people. And it's this belief that a certain schedule and a certain way of doing things will bring happiness. But so often we only see people's highlight reels, right? We don't see the trade-offs for the success. We don't see what's going on behind closed doors. And that's the point I really want to get across to people.
Yeah, it's a huge one, right? We talk about that with social media and stuff. It's a comparison culture that just doesn't make you feel good typically. The stuff that you already have, you take for granted. So if the car is the example with a career or whatever, you're going to disregard what you currently have and look at where everybody else is. And it's naturally going to make you feel better because you're looking further ahead than where you currently are. And that gap is going to let you feel bad. There's also all the external metrics of success and lack of like that finances. We're talking about just like finances, titles, jobs, all these things that are supposedly let you believe that you have made it, which, I'm using huge air quotes on that. It's all fake. It really is. It's this external pressure just feels so crushing at times. And that's where it's coming from. It's that pressure you put on yourself.
Yeah. So I think that's a good place to emphasize, though, is we know where it comes from now, right? We've kind of broken down
Mhm.
all of the different reasons why people might feel behind. But when you're talking about pressure, it brings to mind, of the huge emotional impact that this has on people.
So that pressure you're putting on yourself, that's going to create a structural tension within you. Now, we all need structural tension. That's what moves us forward every day and kind of gets us out of bed. Like I got to get up and do the things that I got to do. But with too much pressure comes that anxiety. And when you start to live your life based on how somebody else is doing, you are going to create doubt in yourself. You're going to rush decisions. You are just going to feel like you're catching up. And here's the real truth with that. When you feel like you are catching up to someone, that feeling never goes away. You will never be caught up. There's a great commercial in Canada right now by one of the banks, and it's about having more. And like the one person in the commercial is standing outside the restaurant. They look at the person inside the restaurant who's got, a couple. And then they look at somebody who's going on a trip. And the person going on the trip looks at somebody else who owns the plane. And the person on the plane looks at somebody who owns whatever. And it just kind of shows you that it never ends. When you get on that hamster wheel, there is only one way to feel better about it, and it is to step off. But that emotional impact will keep you going and thinking, I'm behind. And it's something I really strive with the kids is to go, there is no, like high school is kind of like that basis of, okay, yeah, you don't want to fail and, graduate behind. But after that, it's pretty much a free for all. You finish university. When you finish university, you do your college courses. When you do your college courses, it does not matter. But it's a really hard thing for them to understand because it's like, no, I have to do this. I have to do this in 4 years, 5 years. I've got to get my PhD. I've got to do all these things. And the truth is nobody's telling you have to. I'm not telling them. Nobody's telling them. But they have looked at something in their view and they're feeling like, yeah, I got to do this. And that pressure causes sadness. It causes just unhealthiness. It causes depression. Because really what you're not doing is appreciating where you are. And that is that emotional impact of feeling behind. It's terrible.
Yeah. And I think a key part that most people don't realize because this happens subconsciously is when you feel behind, you start making decisions that actually aren't authentic to what you want. They're not aligned decisions. I think we're all guilty of this, right? And, it's an extreme example, but, I kind of just gave the example of maybe a woman who's like worried she's running out of time to start a family. So maybe she settles for a partner who isn't the best fit for her, right? So if you're trying to just like stick to this certain timeline of whatever it is, your family, your career, buying a home. Gosh, we've talked about that a lot on this show. You start to make decisions that actually aren't in your best interest, that aren't aligned with what you really want. So in coaching, one of the first things we do is we really speak to people's core and we have people ask themselves questions they maybe have never, ever asked themselves before about what they actually want out of this thing called life, what they actually believe, what really makes them happy. And we try to shed some of these societal norms to get to the root of it. And it's an amazing exercise to do because we'll have people that are like, wait, maybe I don't actually want to be in this graduate school program. Wait, maybe I don't actually want to live in the place that I've lived my whole life. I actually want to live somewhere completely different. And it's really eye-opening. And it's very rare that we get someone who's actually living their truth, doing the job they want, living where they want, in a relationship with the person they want. It's very rare. So it's a really important topic because we believe the key to happiness is authenticity, but you can't be authentic if you're following a timeline that's not actually yours.
Exactly. If you are taking somebody else's model of the world and trying to make it your own and live inside of it, you're going to be miserable. And what you need to, maybe gentle way of suggesting it to you, dear listener, is what decisions have you made that you've made to make yourself feel like you're not behind? And I'll be honest, I know I bought a car once because all the neighbors were buying cars and I'm like, okay, well, I should buy a car too. I didn't need a car. I hated that debt. It sucked. It was just such a stupid thing for me to do. But the point is we all do it. We all make those choices and some of them, have long lasting impacts. Other ones, maybe not so much, but be honest with yourself. And that's what we coach. And it's so fun in that first session because most people are doing that going, no one's ever asked me this. And you can see it's a deer in the headlight moment for most people where they are going like, am I allowed to answer this? Not what my significant other or my kids or whatever is thinking. It's like, what do I actually want to do? Well, not what I'm doing. And, finally you have some truth. And with that truth comes the authenticity and you're able to move forward in a meaningful manner. It's really great.
Yeah, I think most people who have reached, midlife, most of the people that listen to this podcast and we coach are like 30s and 40s. Most people are making a lot of concessions of what they want in order to accommodate these timelines, please their parents, make life better for their kids. And not that those are necessarily bad things, but it's very easy to get lost in that. You don't want to lose your sense of self. So when people come to us because they're feeling lost, they're feeling unhappy, that's usually the root cause. And so the truth is that there really is no universal timeline. There's no linear path to follow. Think about the high school football star who peaked in high school and think about, people who have started really successful businesses in their 70s and 80s or gotten their first book deal in their 60s. People peak and they pivot and they rebuild. And it's not that you start small and then you get bigger, 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 and it goes like that. That's not how life works. And so you can't compare, right? I think this is a common quote. You can't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. We just don't know where other people are. We only know where we are.
And we don't know where that quote came from either because it's our show and this is how we do things. But yeah, you're not behind. You're on a different timeline. And that's the real thing to take away. I remember thinking earlier on, like, oh, I'm never going to get everything done and just feeling that behindness of it all. And once you realize that it's all self-imposed, that you don't actually have to do any of the things you're saying that you think you need to do, it becomes really liberating. And once you can be clear on who you want to be and how you want to spend your time and what are your actual important quote unquote metrics in life, then you get to live it on a completely different terms. And life's a lot easier that way. Let me just tell you, it is just so much more fun. You're not late in life. It's just unfolding for you at the time it's meant to unfold.
You can change careers midway through. You can leave relationships. You can start new ones. You can have kids in a lot of different ways. There's no age limit to when you travel, or you can go back to school. You can learn a new language. Your life isn't late. You can do things as they interest you and as they come up. And I hope that those listening will give themselves the freedom to lean into that feeling.
I hope so. I hope so too. So here's what feeling behind is actually a signal for. It's a signal that you're ready for something new. And it can mean that, you're ready for some new growth. You're just becoming more aware of your individual self and what you might want for the next phase of your life. And we help you with that. It's just knowing that maybe you want more out of life. And Catherine and I both have had those wake up moments on our own. And they are a lot easier when you have somebody to go through them with, that's for sure, right? You're outgrowing your current situation. And that doesn't mean that everybody's getting left behind or anything like that. But it is your situation and you are the one inside of it and you get to define how you're going to move forwards. This feeling is actually a real positive thing. It means that you're evolving to the next level. It's a beautiful thing.
Even more important, not only are you evolving, but you haven't failed. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with the order that you've done things. And if you're sort of feeling that nudge or you're kind of feeling unsettled or even unhappy, it's just your brain's way of signaling to you, let's shake things up. Let's try something new. And that can be scary, but you've got this life and you're here to learn and you're here to experience things. And sometimes it's a little bit of a nudge to go ahead and do that.
Yeah. It's a good nudge. Don't ignore it. Make sure you kind of lean into it. If you're looking at everything and you're feeling behind, know that the door is opening for you and that's a fun step to be in. So let's just talk about how to shift out of the behind mindset, because I think that is something that we can all use. Lord knows you and I can use it some days still.
Yep.
It's just the first thing you got to do is stop measuring and start defining. And what that means is just kind of looking at yourself and going, what does your version of success actually look like? How are you defining things? to yourself, not based on what anybody else thinks. Pretend social media doesn't work. Pretend nobody else is going to know. What is your measurement of success? What is your version of it? What does it look like for you on a daily basis in 5 years from now? What does this look for you? What does this look like for you?
Yeah. And I mean, that's just good self awareness. And if you've listened to the show before, we always say, the first step is self-awareness. I think that a lot of these things happen subconsciously, and we get these timelines through a variety of media and things, and we don't even realize that they're in our brain. So just knowing, it's like, wait, why do I think that? Why do I think I have to buy a house right now just because I turned 30 and got a promotion at work? Is that what I actually want to do? Just have I just learned that that is the quote unquote next step based on this, false timeline that everybody seems to be following? So start defining what that means for you and build the self-awareness.
I like that. Another thing to do is just to zoom out, is to just look at your life as a whole, not just the one area of your life, but we're really, really good at focusing on the bad, if that makes sense. So I can look at Catherine and think she is an amazing writer. I wish I was a writer. I'm not a great as writer as Catherine because she has a book and I don't. Now, that's fine. But what I need to actually do is look at my whole life. And if I'm going to compare myself to Catherine or anyone else on this planet, I need to compare everything. And I think when you do that, you're going to be looking at things quite differently. And you can look at people and go, yeah, this person might have a new car, but they also have car payments. This person might have an awesome work life and their family life's a mess. It goes different ways. And when you zoom out on your own life and you compare your life to somebody else's as a whole, I guarantee you win every time. And I guarantee you will never want to switch places with anybody else on this planet besides yourself. When you do that zoom out, you kind of give yourself more credit than you're probably giving yourself. And that's the most important thing for it all. And the next thing we'd like you to do is just to remove those false deadlines. We've been talking about this the whole show, but they're false. The rules are fake. The deadlines are false. Except for your taxes. They are due on a certain day every year and you got to get them in.
But you can extend them if you need to.
but you can extend them. Even that has a little asterisk next to it. We're doing this in April. We're recording this in April right now where everybody's taxes are coming due right away. And that's all we seem to be hearing about. So I figured it was timely.
Yeah. Another thing is to focus on the direction you're going and try really hard not to pay attention to the speed that it happens. It's so difficult. Of course, we want things to happen quickly. Of course, we live in a world of instant gratification. Andrew and I always kind of tease each other because he's Gen X and I'm a millennial. So I'm like, I want it right now. I want Amazon same day shipping. And Andrew's like, I can be patient. I can be disciplined. I can, work and wait for things. And so we just kind of tease each other. We tease each other about that a little bit, in addition to the fact that I never know any of the bands he's talking about. But
that is true.
But progress isn't about how fast you go. You can do something really fast and the quality is poor, or you can be really methodical and work on things 1% at a time and the quality is great. So it's not really about when it happens. What matters is that you figure out what's important to you. You figure out the goals that you actually truly personally want to have happen in this lifetime, and that you take the steps to go there because it's what you want and it's in alignment with who you actually are as a person.
I like that. Yeah. And as far as that alignment goes and your timelines, things happen on the universe's timeline, not yours, as we have all figured out so often in life. And honestly, most of the time when you let go and you let it happen at the speed that it's meant to happen, it happens in a better way than you could have ever imagined. So the next thing we want you to do is just to reconnect with your own path and ask yourself what actually matters to me right now. What feels aligned? What's not impressive? Sometimes we get so caught up with just looking at everybody else that we forget to actually check in and see what feels right. We're feeling beings, and we need to make sure that everything we're feeling is actually feeling right. Because when we take action on things that aren't aligned, it falls apart. And it's a struggle because you are naturally pushing against a grain for the sake of catching up.
Exactly. To sum it all up, because I don't think we can all hear this enough, you're not late. You're not behind. You are just now becoming self-aware and deciding what you actually want. That is the beginning. That is the place to start. And everything is going to unfold the way it was meant to.
Yeah. Your life isn't on a clock, it's on a path, and you're still on it. You're exactly where you're meant to be right now.
I
All
love
right.
that.
Thanks. Now it's time for, well, you want to do our thrifting little
Yeah.
gem that we found this week? Go ahead. What do you got?
Well, I just went thrifting yesterday. I only had a few minutes before I picked up the twins from school, but I found some good stuff. You know, our son is super cool and trendy, and apparently the kids these days in middle school and high school are wearing quarter zips again. Used to be cool for your dad to wear to work. Now it's cool again. So he was just asking me if we could go get him some. So I popped in and I found him a really nice one at the thrift
Nice.
store. He was excited to get it. What about you?
I found a tape deck player, which
Yeah.
I was really, yeah, it's really weird. I found an old Polaroid that I didn't get, but this tape deck was like one of those, it's like one of those dictaphones that, they used to use in the 70s and 80s where, when people all couldn't type and one person would dictate into the machine and then somebody else would type up the notes. I looked it up and it was $8, but like they resell for $150. These things are in demand for some strange reason that I still haven't figured out why. But so I was pretty excited to find that. It's like finding a $100 bill at the thrift. I was pretty pumped about it.
I love that. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's good. I can't wait to see what happens with it.
Me
Do you have
too.
any glimmers to share?
Yes, I have a glimmer. It's spring finally up in Canada and the snow is melted and it's just beautiful outside. I was outside for a walk today and I went and just kind of sat and looked at the river, which is right outside my place. And I'm like, oh, I have missed this. It is so nice to be back into outdoor fresh air and not freezing my butt off. So that's my glimmer. It's just not cold anymore.
Yeah.
How about you?
I
What's
love
your
that.
glimmer?
I just went to a virtual book club and I really loved it. It was so much fun. I used to go to a book club, gosh, many years ago, like when I was still in school, and I really liked the camaraderie of it. And I haven't been to one since because it's like hard for me to like drive places with the kids and the fact that we split our time between two different countries. So it was a virtual book club for business women who read fiction books. That was the key. A lot of like the workbook clubs are always business books, finance books.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. It was like talking to other book nerds for an hour, and I definitely am going to go back. It was really fun.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that for you. That's so great. Awesome.
Thanks.
All right, folks. Well, thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Hey guys, quick disclaimer. We're podcasters on the internet. If you need to seek professional help, please go see your healthcare professional.